Welcome everyone, I'm Skratch. Welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. We are currently on the test server. In today's video, guys, we're gonna have a look at some of the most busted things in Raid Shadow Legends. And yes, we are gonna talk about blessings. We're gonna talk about nerfs, ghost nerfs that happened in the game. And we're gonna talk about Ward of Dawn. A lot of you guys are very curious to know how these blessings interact with each other, if you stack them and other things like this. So I'm here to explain you everything, show you everything. That's why we're on the test server, because I can change blessings, spend tons of gems, and don't give a damn. My account is actually broke at the moment. I only have like 1,000 gems. That's why we are here. Now, a lot of you guys might have no idea on how these blessings actually work. So that's what we're gonna clarify in today's video. If you guys remember when we've tested them before, like a few months ago when they released the Awakening, Temporal Chains, as an example, if we were using it on multiple champions, was bugged in a very weird way because the enemy was getting his speed increased. So if I was going in with a champion with Temporal Chains, the enemy speed was getting decreased. If I was going in with multiple Temporal Chains, funny enough, the enemies were becoming faster. So they actually fixed that. We're gonna be able to test how exactly it works now better. Kind of like to show you how broken is to stack multiple Temporal Chains now. And if you guys remember, the Ward of Dawn as well was not working great either. The damage reduction that was supposed to happen from it was not there, you know. Now, I have random champions with blessings. I don't have any of the Arena Meta champions to try them in Arena at 5-star or 6-star. So we're gonna try some different champions and we're gonna give them a Temporal Chains. We're gonna try with 1 champion, 2 champions, 3 champions. Temporal Chains actually introduced a lot of ghost nerfs as well. So think about it like this. Every champion starting with a buff will get his speed decreased. If you don't know what Temporal Chain does, it's decreasing the speed for each active buff. So right here is decreasing the speed by 5% for each active buff up to 15%. That is very powerful. 5% speed is a massive, massive drop. And if you're bringing 3 different champions with Temporal Chains, you're gonna decrease their speed by 15% for 1 buff. That is a lot of speed because it's gonna go from the overall speed, not just the base speed or anything like that. So this can be massive in a specific comps, you know. But if we're talking about immunity, if we're talking about stone skin, if we're talking about divine sets, everything got a nerf. So if you guys were some of the krakens that were constantly purchasing all the speed gear, the divine speed now is not as great. A lot of people were already talking about this. If you had tons of champions on immunity, like you had your Warlord on immunity, fast with accuracy, or maybe you had your Kaimar in immunity, fast with accuracy. Like I have my Kaimar right here. Let me just find him quickly. He is on immunity. And yes, this will actually handicap him because he's gonna get his speed decreased. So everything that has a buff will massively get destroyed by Temporal Chains. Yumeko, for example, she will have a problem in Arena because if somebody has a fast Yumeko in defense and you're using a lot of champions with Temporal Chains, you're gonna anchor her down and you're gonna be able to control that team. And in a way, having Temporal Chains is very, very powerful. It's broken in a good way. So I'm not complaining that it's too powerful or anything like that. I'm just kind of like saying how strong it is and how more of you guys should be aware of it. So let's actually test it in Arena, right? So I have Tumesia, I have Tyrant, and I have Ninja with 5-star Temporal Chains. And if we're gonna go right here at this team, so we're gonna go with my Arbiter. I think I might be faster than his team, but I'm not 100% sure. So my Arbiter is on Stone Skin. I do have the Intimidating Presence, which will be pretty powerful. So if you're paying attention at their turn meter, you see Valkyrie's turn meter is almost full. Arbiter is literally almost full, it's just a little bit there, and Siphi is full. Now, Arbiter won't get affected because she doesn't have a buff. But you see, this Siphi has Divine Speed or something. That Valkyrie is on immunity. So what's gonna happen once I'm gonna start bringing in Temporal Chains champions is that their speed will get decreased. Now, when Siphi is going to buff on the enemy team, if I have 6-star Temporal Chains, is actually even more powerful. I'm gonna walk you through it in just a second. So let's start with 1 Temporal Chain. Pay attention to everything that happens. You see, her turn meter, it barely dropped a bit, but it dropped a little bit, you see. It's not that close to the third line. Siphi, she's still the same. The other 2 champions don't really matter. So that is 5% decreased speed on both of those 2 champions. Now we're actually gonna be nasty and bring in another Temporal Chain. Now we're gonna decrease their speed by 10%. So if you're paying attention, this, it barely moved, but again, it moved a little bit. You see, right now it's at the middle of the lines, dominating towards the left side, so decreased even more. Siphi is still not noticeable because she must be very, very close with my Arbiter speed, you know. So that's 2 Temporal Chains. Now, if we're bringing in the 3rd Temporal Chain, and we're actually knocking down the speed by 15%, you're gonna notice a massive drop. So if we're gonna pay attention again, look at her turn meter, you see how it dropped even more. But look at Siphi. Now you can actually notice a pretty serious drop in the turn meter of Siphi because we decreased their speed by 15%. This is actually massive. Now, if that Siphi will actually get to use the skill, if we let them use the skill, if I would have my Temporal Chain at 6-star, whenever they're gonna get buffed like this, we're gonna drop their turn meter by 15%. And their speed is gonna get decreased by even more speed. So if they're gonna have 3 buffs, for each Temporal Chain I have available on my champions, they're gonna drop 15% speed. So that will bring a speed reduction of 45% because of my 3 champions. So right now, all this team has 45% less speed, guys. That's how crazy it is to have multiple Temporal Chains on your champions. It's actually pretty crazy. So this was not working like this before. They fixed it. So for whoever didn't know, here we are. Now it's actually working as intended. It's actually pretty nasty that it stacks. It's not really mentioning it anywhere, but instantly decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 15 whenever any enemy receives a 3rd active buff. That is just crazy. It doesn't need to be for every champion. If one champion receives 3 buffs, once you have this blessing at 6-star, you're gonna decrease the turn meter of all enemies by 15. Not only on the champion that has 3 buffs. It's so damn crazy. And at 5-star is very powerful as well. The more buffs they have, the more speed I'm dropping on them. So using Temporal Chains on some of your champions could be key in succeeding when you are fighting faster teams than yours, you know. Of course, intimidating presence and then move over to some Temporal Chains. It can be very nasty. And yes, champions with a buff will instantly get a nerf. And Yumeko is one of those champions because she's starting directly with a veil, right? A perfect veil. So she's gonna have this directly when she starts the fight. And this will automatically decrease her speed by 5%. If there are multiple champions, depending on how many you have, you're gonna be able to decrease the speed more. If your Temporal Chains is not at 5-star, is at a lower star, of course, that's gonna be affected as well. If you're gonna pay attention, you see it's 2%, 3% goes up to 5%. So it becomes very powerful. Now, moving over to the next one, okay? So Temporal Chains, very powerful to use it. A lot of other champions will actually get ghost nerfed because of this. If you're having immunity, stone skin, etc. I think I've repeated this quite a few times. Now I'm gonna use Ward of Dawn on my Lydia. A 5-star as well. Unfortunately, I don't have a 6-star. That will make a bit of a difference. I have her on a full stone skin set. And if you're gonna pay attention right here. So the way it works, Ward of the Fallen, right? Basically, these bone armor stacks will be able to stack up to 3. But you need to have it at 6-star for that. Each bone armor that you have if you have a 5-star blessing, will bring you a damage reduction of 30%. Now, this doesn't mean that if you have 3 stacks at the same time, you're gonna have a damage reduction of 90%. That's not the way it works. So basically, each one of the bone armor that you have on will do a 30%. Now, whenever you get a hit, one bone armor is gonna get knocked down. That, of course, if you don't get one shot. So, one bone armor went down with a 30% damage reduction. I have another one left, which again will give me 30%, but they're not adding up the damage to a total of 90%. I know a lot of people kind of like misunderstood the whole idea here, so I'm just trying to make sure you guys are getting this right. This is pretty powerful as well on the right champions. And not to mention, this is one of the few blessings that are great for HP-based nukers, because you're getting HP crit damage and you're getting some speed. So is a fairly decent one. Plus, you're dealing bonus damage to each enemy hit by this champion. The number of times bonus damage is inflicted on each enemy target is equal to the number of dead allies. Bonus damage is proportional to this champion's attack. Add 1 bone armor stack for each instance of bonus damage inflicted. Now, honestly, I would not really give a damn about the damage, because it's not really gonna be high. Unfortunately, the damage is proportional to this champion's attack. The stats that you're getting from this are kind of like really designed for HP-based nukers. So that extra damage is not really gonna have any sort of impact. What it really matters here is having the damage reduction. So you see, I have this Lydia. She does have fairly decent stats, right? 100k HP, 3.3k defense, and she is built on Stone Skin. Now, if we're gonna try a couple of things, check this out first. So, Georgid ignores Stone Skin, right? So we're gonna be able to see what exactly will happen there. Are we gonna get wrecked by it or no? Georgid hits very, very powerful. This is a mega Kraken account that we are facing, so expect to see some crazy things. So that Georgid probably didn't proc his passive, probably didn't proc Helm Smasher, and he hit us for 83k. You see, we had 2 stacks of bone armor. Now, one of them got removed. If any champion in the game will damage you, even if it's 1 damage, 1 stack is gonna drop. So if an Arbiter comes in with an A1 and you have 2 stacks, Arbiter is gonna drop the stacks and goodbye. Basically, this is not as powerful, because you should be really taking some damage in order for it to happen, you know? Like proper damage, not just barely a scratch and you knock down a bone armor. If we're gonna go again against Rats here, let's see that Georgid again. Maybe he's gonna proc his passive. So much RNG with Georgid, right? But he's such a beast of a champion. I'm still gutted that I haven't got him. 87k damage. Pretty nice actually. So we managed to survive the hit again. Probably he still didn't proc his passive. So I wanna go another round to make sure that passive procs and he actually ignores the defense, because the damage is gonna be pretty nuts, you know? So come on. Helm Smasher and passive Georgid. There we go. 268k. You see, that's what happens when you ignore 75% of the target's defense. The damage just blows off the roof. Pretty crazy, right? Like, that was some nasty damage. Of course, the stacks of bone armor went to the bin as well. Now, check this out. So that, you've seen the average damage. So, was 80 to 90k without proccing his passive. When passive and Helm Smasher procced, the damage went off the roof. Like, it went crazy. So if we're gonna remove the Ward of Fallen, let's just bring in whatever. Like, I don't know. Let's put Brimstone. 300 gems go in the bin. Let's go. I'm loving it. So if we're gonna go against that Georgid again, we don't have Ward of Fallen. We haven't changed the build. Check this out. So you're gonna notice how that 30% disappears, right? Come on. Mr. Georgid. 163k hit, and I can assure you his passive didn't proc. 100% that didn't proc, because when that passive procs without the Ward of Dawn or Ward of Fallen, Ward of Dawn, it might be something else from Destiny. I think I'm getting the names mixed up, sorry. But without the bone armor, the damage is just pretty crazy. I feel like he's ignoring some defense here, or it might be the standard, but still, it's around the 30% damage reduction when everything is spot on, you know? So we gotta give it a couple of more goes. I've actually done plenty of fights the other day when I was testing it. But you guys get the idea. Ward of Dawn can be very solid for damage reduction, right? Like, that's definitely gonna help you out quite a bit. Now, if you are using different champions, AoE champions, like you're using a Kymar maybe, you're gonna use the A1, bang, you knock down a bone armor. You're using a Warlord, you lock the skills, bang, you knock down a bone armor. So you kind of like get the idea that bone armor, even though it's very strong for damage reduction, is very easy to counter, because you're just touching the champion with whatever, you're just blowing towards him, and the bone armor is gonna get knocked out. Now, there are a couple of other things, guys. If we are having a look at Soul Reap, right? A lot of you guys don't know that this actually activates for bomb champions too. So when bombs explode, the Reaper comes out and deals some extra damage. Now, one thing that does happen to the Soul Reap, to the Reaper, when he actually comes to do his job, is that he ignores pretty much everything. Like, he ignores defense and stuff like that. Skills that reduce the damage, but it's not really like that. So if you are fighting some different champions, that they might have some different masteries, they might have some different passives, a lot of the time you're gonna notice that it's not actually ignoring everything. So it's good, but it's not as good as it sounds. And the main thing that I wanted to share with you about Soul Reap is that it activates for bombs as well. So in case if you didn't know that, just wanted to let you know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think about temporal chains? You think it's too powerful? You think it's just right? What do you think about Ward of Dawn? I really think that Ward of Dawn should slightly get a bit of a buff maybe. That would make it a much better option. Of course, we have many other blessings that are fairly strong for Arena, but this temporal chain might be the one, you know? Of course, Polymorph brings a lot of RNG to the fight, but yeah. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Appreciate all of you guys watching. Much love, and I'll catch you all soon in the next video. Peace.